Every project starts somewhere, and for this one, it began with a lot of sketches. I spent some time exploring different shapes for the stool, filling pages with ideas. Some were practical and some were a little more ambitious. A few of them were really promising, but in the end, I kept coming back to this one design. To start turning that idea into something real, I created a digital file of the design and cut it from 1/4-inch plywood on my X-Tool laser to make a template. The template will give me an accurate shape to work from as I move through the rest of the build. Once the plywood is loaded into the machine, I select the material in the software, double check all the settings, and let the machine get to work. I have a sheet of mahogany plywood left over from a previous project. I like the color and grain on this, and I think it'll work well for this set of stools. Using the template, I lay out the shapes on the sheet so I can start rough cutting the parts. Using a template this way also allows me to choose what kind of grain I want on the sides. There isn't a lot of wood used for these pieces, but that makes the grain selection that much more important. I'm cutting close to the outer straight lines with a circular saw, staying about a 1/4 inch away from the line. Plywood can tear out pretty easily, so for the curved sections, I'm using a jigsaw with a bidirectional blade. The teeth on this blade point both up and down, which helps prevent splintering on the top surface and leaves a much cleaner look on plywood and laminates. Instead of lifting the fibers out of the surface, the blade pushes them towards the center of the material. Some of the inside corners are a little too tight to turn with the jigsaw, so I drill holes in the corners first. That gives the blade a place to start and stop and makes those tight turns much easier to cut. I was ready to move on to the next step when I realized I forgot to cut the joinery locations in the template, so I loaded it back into the laser. The machine automatically takes a picture of the material and brings it into the software, which makes it easy to line the design back up to the template so the cuts land exactly where they're supposed to. Now I can start refining the shapes of the stool sides. To do that, I'm attaching the template to the side piece using double-sided tape. This holds the template firmly in place while I work, but it's still easily removable once the routing is all finished so that it can be reused on the next piece. With the template secured, I use a palm router and a pattern bit to follow the shape. The bearing on the bit rides along the edge of the template, allowing the cutter to trim the plywood perfectly flush to that line. This makes it easy to get consistent results and ensures each side piece ends up exactly the same. I work my way through all the curves slowly, letting the bit do all the cutting and keeping steady pressure against the template so the cuts are smooth and controlled. Before removing the template, I switch to a shorter bit to route out the mortises that will hold the stretchers. The bit isn't quite long enough to reach the full depth in one pass, so I start by cutting the mortises as deep as the bit will allow with the template still in place. Once that's done, I remove the template and use the routed mortise walls as a guide to take the cut a little deeper and reach the final depth. Because the router bit leaves a rounded corner, I finish the mortises by squaring them up with a chisel so the stretcher shoulders can seat cleanly. The ends of the stretchers have angle tenons, and figuring out the shape took a little trial and error. It took a few attempts to get the proportions and angles to work the way I wanted, but once I figured it out, I can move on to actually making these parts. Since most of the cuts are straight, I'm doing the bulk of the shaping on the table saw. For the material, I'm using the cutoffs from the stool sides and picking out the sections with the best grain. Having already worked out the measurements and made a template really helped when it came time to set up the saw. I start by tilting the blade to match the angle on the end of the tenon, which was about 7 degrees. Then I cut one end of each piece before setting up a stop block to cut the opposite ends, making sure all the stretchers end up the same length. If you want to build these stools for yourself, I'll place a link in the description with plans and the SVG files so you can either laser, CNC, or print them out to scale to make your very own stools. These are all the top stretchers, and I repeat the same process for the lower stretchers, which are the same but just a bit longer. Next, I use a stop block on the miter gauge to remove the waists and form the shoulders of the tenons. Since the blade is already set to the correct angle, I also use this setup to cut the angle on the bottom of the feet and the top of the stool sides. It's only 7 degrees, but that small angle makes a big difference and makes sure that the stool sits flat on the floor and the seat rests level on top. With all the important details cut out, I attach the template to the pieces using double-sided tape, making sure to align the tenons perfectly. I remove most of the waste on the bandsaw before trimming it flush on the router table. Once all the shaping was done, I thought about maybe engraving a design across all of these stretchers, but then I thought that might be a little too busy. So instead, I decided to include my logo on the inside of the stretcher. Once this was all done, it turned out extremely clean. There are a few different ways to finish the edge of plywood. The most common approach would be edge banding, but for this project, I wanted to try something a little different. Instead of covering the plywood edge, I decided to highlight it. I'm using India ink for the first time, which turns the wood completely black but still allows the grain to shine through. Rather than looking like paint, it leaves a subtle striped effect along the layers of the plywood. Once the ink dried, I finished all the parts with shellac. I really like how the shellac deepens the color of the mahogany and brings out the grain. With the finish dry, I can move on to assembly. Thanks to the templates and the precise joinery, everything came together really smoothly. The top of the stool was slightly out of square, so I added a clamp diagonally across it to pull it back into alignment as the glue sets. While that was drying, I started working on the seats. I milled some oak off camera, and I'm using a biscuit joiner here to cut slots along the edges. The biscuits help keep the boards aligned and flat during the glue up. Before applying glue, I mark the locations of each biscuit on the top surface of the boards. That way, later on, when I'm shaping the seats, I know exactly where they are and won't accidentally cut into them and expose them along the edges. It's a small step, but it's something I'll definitely try to remember anytime I use biscuits. Sometimes, even in careful work, mistakes find their way to us. I didn't notice it at first, but as I was gluing these boards together, I realized I used both white and red oak. At first, I thought it was a problem, but then I looked at it closely and I could see the beauty in the contrast. The white oak in the center now feels like a quiet reminder that imperfections often become our most interesting features. As that was drying, I loaded in another piece of 1/4-inch plywood into the laser, this time to cut out the template for the seat. As soon as I close the lid, a picture of the material is loaded into the software, and I moved my file into the corner of the material to minimize waste. This was cut out in no time. After the panel had plenty of time to dry, I brought it over to the table saw and used the template to set the fence to cut the material down to its final width. Cutting out these seats follows the same steps as the other parts. Cutting down the material to its final length, attaching the template using double-sided tape and removing all the excess material, and then trimming it down to its final size with a palm router and pattern bit. When all the shaping is done, I go over all the edges with a round-over bit, softening them so that the hands and the body can meet the wood comfortably. Adding a small curve can make a piece feel like it was made to welcome you. Once all the parts are shaped and sanded, I apply several coats of finish. At this point, I place the seat on the stool to see how everything is coming together. But when I step back and look at it, something feels off. It doesn't quite capture the feeling I had in mind at the start of this project. Because of that, I decide to try something different and add cord wrapping to the seat. I start by stapling the cord to the underside of the seat. This gives a solid anchor and a good starting point for the wrapping. From there, I begin wrapping the cord around the seat, weaving it in and out through the slot and around the edges. The pattern is slowly building. I pass the cord through the seat several times and pull those sections tight to create a firm surface. To keep that tension while I work, I clamp the cord in place before moving on to the next pass. The material I'm using is Danish paper cord. It's made by twisting long strips of craft paper into strong rope-like cord. It's been used for decades in Scandinavian furniture, especially woven chair seats, because it's durable, lightweight, and develops a really nice texture over time. As I get close to finishing the wrap, I realize I'm running out of cord. Rather than starting over with a longer piece, there's an easier solution. I tie in a new section using a square knot. It's a simple knot, but it's strong and reliable, and works really well for joining two lengths of cord together. With the new section added, I continue wrapping until the seat is entirely filled in. When I'm finished, I bring the cord underneath the seat and tie off the end. The square knot creates a convenient spot to tuck the cord underneath and secure it. Even though this cord is made from paper, it's surprisingly strong. That said, if you pull hard enough, it can still break. And right at the very end, that's exactly what happens. Fortunately, it broke off within the knot and it's still secure. To be safe, I add a little wood glue on the knot to make sure everything stays locked together. To help tie the design together, I add a bit of cord wrapping to the base as well. It echoes the texture on the seat and helps carry that detail through the rest of the stool. To attach the seat to the base, I'm using simple corner brackets. They're easy to install and keeps the seat securely in place, but they also make it easy to remove the seat later if I ever need to replace the cord wrapping. With the seats attached, the stools are finished. What started with a few sketches has turned into a simple, sturdy design with a lot of small details that came together along the way. The wrapped cord seats add a bit of texture and contrast, and it gives the stool a comfortable place to sit. Sometimes a project changes as it goes, and in this case, small adjustments helped shape that final piece. If you want to build these stools for yourself, remember that there's a set of plans linked in the description. Thanks for watching.